Where were you on June 9th, 2023? Here's where I was. At a birthday happy hour for Jordan Plotner. But let's start at the very beginning of the day. It was a Friday. I got up around 7 a.m., maybe 6:45, a little bit early for me. At 7:30, I got on a Zoom with the ODP voter protection team. Not typical for the middle of an odd year. But the Republicans were trying to stop our abortion rights, so we were doing voter protection. Abortion rights won. Stay out of our business. After the Zoom, I made myself presentable for work and I drove downtown. Clocked in at 9:51 in the morning. Fairly typical. My median clock in and out for that period was probably 9:45 to 6:15. We worked in the evening a lot. Weird hours. So I got to work. I worked on stuff. Trump had just been indicted, so I was trying to get my arms around that. The U.S. Supreme Court was issuing terrible decisions, so I was keeping abreast of those. What else was going on? The state budget was the big thing happening in the State House. I didn't work directly on it, but we all worked on it a little bit. So typical June. Except for the president being indicted, former president, for hiding national security secrets in his bathroom. But we're no strangers to indictments here in Ohio. For example, Larry Householder was just about to be sentenced in federal court. And we were probably still storing boxes from the Speaker Cliff Rosenberger days, but not in the bathroom. So what next? Around 1 o'clock, I think, I went to Jordan's office to talk to him about this outside counsel report that had just been handed to us by the Republicans. It was about, if you recall, my sex discrimination complaint. They took 5 months to do it. They insisted on bringing in outside counsel. And I wanted to also hear about the meeting he and Allison had just had with the speaker about other staff who were being unfairly and incompetently targeted. I'm sure I said happy birthday because it was Jordan's birthday. But he and I just chatted briefly because he had to run and meet with the Republican chief of staff. So he was apologetic. He's like, we'll talk later. So at 2 o'clock, I and my fellow director level staffers got on a weekly stakeholder conference call in the leader's office, which we would regularly use when she wasn't there. Like that day, she was not there. And sometime in here we had cake also in the leader's office for Jordan's birthday. Maybe 10 of us sang happy birthday and had cake. Typical stuff. So the day before, the leader had invited us to a happy hour for Jordan's birthday, so that was still to come. And by invited us, I mean she expected us to come and she was paying for it with campaign funds. And we actually didn't really go out for work stuff much on Fridays because there's a lot of like weekday socializing that's work related during the work week. But this was fine. It was a nice thought. I'm just telling you because it was a last minute thing and something that we had to make happen. So meanwhile, I am dying to talk to Jordan and Allison about this outside counsel report and the meeting with the speaker. And I'm realizing this is probably not going to happen today because of all this birthday stuff. So now we're at 3 o'clock and we staff are sitting around the conference table and talking about starting this happy hour at 4 because Jordan had to get to a family dinner. So my colleagues had things to still wrap up for the day. I was at a good stopping point for the week, as good as these things get anyway, and I told them I'll head down there, get a table, scope it out, see if we can sit on the patio. There was some question about whether the patio would be open for some reason. I don't know why, because it was a beautiful day, as you can see from the picture. So I clocked out at 3:29 p.m. I walked to Matt and Tony's, the old Columbus Brewing restaurant on Short Street. Got a table inside, but then the manager agreed to serve us on the patio. Again, don't know what the patio issue was. Maybe they were short-staffed. Anyway, we moved outside. I ordered some appetizers and people started showing up. Merriment and birthday joy ensued. I chatted with the leader, a couple of other members who showed up. Jordan, my colleagues, even some former staffers were there. The next morning, a member sent this text to the group of us, and Jordan responded, "Can't thank you all enough for making my birthday so special. What a perfect get-together." Now, Here's how Jordan and Allison described where I was that day. Quote, absent 2.22 hours with no notice, semicolon, not scheduled, off. You just heard where I was that morning, right? You just saw where I was that afternoon, right? Where did they write that description? In a document that begins recent facts and pattern of behavior of our caucus legal counsel, dated July 26, 2023. I didn't see it until November 25th, 2025. So they created, on state time, with state resources, a false document that says I was absent with no notice. Not only was there no formal requirement to give notice, they did have notice because we had our own informal systems of keeping each other informed because we were courteous colleagues and friends. And everyone knew where I was and wanted me there, doing political volunteer work and doing the office women's work, helping get this birthday activity going. That's where I was. This memo, it's 10 pages long. There's no name on it. But it seems pretty obvious to me that Jordan wrote it, has his trademark weirdness. I've had it for just over 2 months. And we'll go through the rest of it. Wait till you hear what they said about my whereabouts on June 8th. See you soon.